European navies and coast guards have rescued tens of thousands of migrants from the Mediterranean, many of whom are now sheltered in southern countries like Italy and Greece. Thousands more have died.
There are a number of strategies for reducing the number of deaths. First is to reduce the appeal of the flows. The second is to work with the transit nations across which immigrants travel.
People know that they'll be picked up by Navy ships, etc. And then it was decided to have less patrolling of the seas, and that was a big mistake because then people started drowning in great numbers, and that's something you don't want on your conscience. So now navies are patrolling more intensively.
The overwhelming majority of the refugees that have come in, I think it's more than 100,000 this year, have hit Italy. I think somewhere, the last figure I saw is about 388,000 to Greece. Even Malta, which is another Mediterranean country, has gotten relatively few compared to those two.
The ongoing tragedy has divided European powers, whose laws were not designed to handle such large migrant flows.
There's the International Convention on Refugees, but it really does not, in the end, dictate a mandatory level of refugees that any individual country has to take. This is a matter of sovereignty. This is a matter of political will for individual countries.
The particular problem that these countries face is what's called the Dublin Regulation, that basically said that the country that is responsible for examining the asylum claim is the country of first arrival. So on its face, this is an unfair setup. It puts the burden on countries that are on the external frontiers, and it insulates countries like Germany and the Netherlands, Sweden, whatever, that are inside. And what we've seen, starting with Greece, is building fences.
The European Union is demanding that northern European countries share the burden facing Greece, Italy, and Malta by taking in more migrants.
Germany has been reasonably generous. Sweden has been notably generous in terms of taking refugees. I think in terms of countries that have been less willing to take refugees, of course, the Gulf Coast countries don't take refugees. And certain countries in Europe have been laggards when it comes to taking refugees. Presumably, the brunt will be borne by nations that have money to have capacity and have a history of resettling refugees, but with new burdens apportioned to those that have money but have been less inclined to resettle refugees over time.
We've devised a system whereby you use a number of weighing factors that you have equitable division of the numbers of refugees going to the different countries. And I think that once the system works, people will see that this is a far more efficient way of dealing with the crisis than leaving it up to one or two states.
There was resistance to it at the outset, and they said, okay, we'll try to do this voluntarily. They were only trying to get 40,000 places relocated from Greece and Italy, and they only got pledges for 32,500. And so they decided that this really has to be mandatory. It can't be voluntary, and this is part of membership in this union.